I can feel your eyes on me. You are near, chasing down my
Welcome, Mush Eaters. This is War of the Rebellion, and I've got a battle replay for you with the American Civil War mod. This is a very intense match, a 4v4 battle at Peachtree Creek, battlefield from 1864. Now, of course, we've got a bunch of different armies that everybody is taking. And we're going to go ahead and take a look so you guys can see what this gameplay kind of looks like, especially in these larger battles. It is a ton of fun. We've got a really great community. There's always guys ready to play. So 1v1, 4v4, you never know what you might end up with. So let's take a look at these. We're going to go through we're not going to go through the individual army lists themselves. Don't really need to do that in this experience, but instead we're going to take a look at kind of what cores everyone's got and what the positions that they have. So over here are on the Union right flank, we've got 15th Corps, Army of the Tennessee. And this is one of my favorite armies. It's not the best in the Union, but it's one of the good ones. And you're going to see how well they do in the combat up ahead here in just a moment. So he's got everyone likes to play a little bit differently. You can see he's got his troops in a line here, in two lines with some artillery. We've got some cav, and of course we've got the Army of the Tennessee 17th Corps. And as you can see there, he's got Major General Ulysses S. Grant, which is pretty great. And here's me. I'm bringing the 11th Corps, one of my favorite corps to read about, and certainly very experienced and hardened fighters. These guys are great at close combat, and these guys are great at shooting and dealing to the enemy. You're going to see some of that too. So I decided to forego bringing any type of cavalry, and because I'm holding the center, you're going to see it's going to come bite me in the butt here in a moment. So I've got some skirmishers up front, and I've got these 5 different brigades that I have set up. And my idea is that I'm going to use these brigades to support each other. And I've got 16 artillery pieces. The max is only 18, so you kind of got to figure out how you're going to bring and how many. As you can see over here, I've got my ally rocking the 16th Corps, or I'm sorry, the 14th Corps, is bringing a bunch of troops as well. So, and he's got some cav. He's got a lot of cav on the end and a lot of artillery. So let's get this game started, and we'll see where everyone goes. These matches are quite long and very devastating. It's one of my favorite parts, is just to take a look and see what everyone else was doing. When you're so focused on your own corps, everyone's communicating and talking and also looking at the same time. I found myself kind of looking to see how everyone else was doing and being like, hey, you've got this regiment coming up on you, or this brigade. My first thought when we were deciding together was I wanted to take these woods and position my cannon right here. I felt like if I could get my cannons up here right away, right off the bat, then I would be able to stop the enemy cold. And, make them try and come up this hill to get dismount those cannons off the top of this hill. Layer my infantry in a crown in 2 rows with 2 brigades at the bottom and 2 brigades at top with the artillery. And I felt like that would be a pretty good position. Of course, any contact with the enemy throws all of your plans out the window. Because one of the things that I wanted my troops to do is I was like, I need to get them in these woods. So, but you'll see what happens. My allies bring in, he's got, more or less 4 brigades here. And that was something we talked about, whether you like moving your army as a whole. Some players like to use their armies as a single block, and some of us like using the brigade system. I am a big fan of the brigade system. I really enjoy it. So, yeah, we got the Wilder Brigade here. these boys do a lot of work in this match. It's pretty great. So as you can see, he's got his artillery coming up. I raced my artillery to the front. I wanted them to get up here as quick as possible and start shooting, because my initial thinking was if I could get them to start shooting first, I can start knocking out enemy artillery. It turns out the Confederates had something similar, but they were like, well, if you're going to put your artillery up that far, then we're going to throw our cav in. Now I know my ally has got cav coming up in reserve, and he has to sacrifice him to fix my blunder. So this is very kind of him. But we've got all of our troops moving up, and let's see where my general is. He's somewhere running around. Or I think he's in the woods coming around. You got to be careful with your generals. You don't want the enemy. I accidentally forget about this regiment back here. You can't group if you group your units together, they will get messed up because of a bug. So you have to kind of do it click by hand to get him going. So he'll pop out. When my general pops out, you'll see him. Gets a lot of work done. So I've got these skirmishers coming up. My first thought was, hey, I'm going to get the artillery up. I'm going to throw the skirmishers in here and try to delay the enemy from coming in. Unfortunately, yeah, the Rebs were like, surprise. Oh, no. Right? And our first thing was, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to leave two cannons, and I'm just going to shoot them right into there and see what I can do. I take the 13th New York Light Battery, and I tell them to get out, because there's nothing they can do. These guys are already deploying, and it's just not going to work well. I'm a little late on getting these guys done, but I was hoping that I would get a Confederate army in front of me that didn't have cav, but I think they know that this is a prominent location for artillery. They know what I was thinking, and he doesn't quite get his boys up quick enough because we've got our own cav coming up. But man, I made a mistake. I should have brought at least one cav, but oh well. You live and you learn. Now, there's no other action that's really happening. Got Wilder's brigade up here doing good work, seeing the enemy cav. But you'll see this woods right here. He's got artillery pieces coming up, trying to shoot up and over this into our boys. But he's got his cav. He does kind of get them going. They start shooting at each other. Cav size matters. It really does. When they're shooting at each other, you got to be careful. So enemy shells are coming in, and this is where I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Kind of missing. And they were waiting for that. Got his cav boys coming in. If just post up on either side if you can. This is my mistake of running up here. But I feel like he's got to fix my screw up. So got our boys coming in. You'll see one of these skirmishers does great work. But next we see this. Got some Confederate artillery setting up on this hill, and I'm like, all right, well, I've got these boys. I'm sending them over, and if he's focused on your artillery pieces, he's not going to be focused on mine. So I use them to shell those. He has his cav come in, but oh my gosh, look how many Confederate cav regiments there are. They see that, they know that they can do this, that they can get these boys through. But look, we've got all this artillery. Oh, man. He's trying to delay as much as he can. Let's take a look. More Confederate artillery is being set up on these low hills on the other side of the stream. Right? Well, yeah. Becomes a does not become a focal point of the battle except for over here. Like, most of everyone moves past it. Got 15th Corps moving up. Yeah. Got some cav coming in. We're trying to decide where we want to go, how we want to fight this. And battles just develop organically. So, I'm like, let's do it, I guess. We'll just start shooting them. I was hoping they would break. They were so close to breaking. I just felt like if I could break one of these or two of them before they got here, they might not attack. They might realize it was too costly. If he had left his cav up here to just defend, I don't think he would have. I think he would have realized it would have been too much. But he's a better player than I am, so I'll defer to his judgment. All right, let's take a look here. You can see battle's really starting to develop here. What's going on? 15th Corps is getting in line. We do have this gap between our units, and we did know about it. Our plan was kind of to use him as an anchor position to see if the enemy would hold. But that's kind of not what ends up happening. We end up having to secure the line anyway. We do it just fine. Confederates don't exploit it, so I'm happy with it. And here we go. As our artillery comes online and the duel begins. It's always important that you get your artillery up as soon as you can, because it can just be a battle. So here we go. Now the fight's starting to develop. We've got this cav in here. You have to be careful when cav dismount. Your boys will have to run through, and if they run, they'll get really tired really quickly. So he dismounts, and he inside the woods, and he uses his boys just kind of hold mine off. And he holds me off until I figure out he only has the cav. But here's my boys. I'm like, all right, let's see what we can do. Maybe I'll be able to fake them out and keep them there. As you can see, my artillery has been up here a little bit longer than it should. And that's when his cav, he's like, you know what, let's go for it. There's no friendly cav really in the area. And our infantry are so close, but not close enough. Got my 11th Corps, they're so so close. I can, just a few more. Just a little bit longer. There we go. There's my 11th Corps General, Brigadier General Alexander Schimmenfennig. He does solid service for me in this battle, which is just fantastic. We'll get some real great battles here. Of my artillery, getting the short end of this stick. There's a lot of troops on the field right now. There we go. I was really excited. It's like, all right, got one of them out of here. So close. They knock out these two guns, and that's the end of it. My other gun, nice and safe, stays where it is for the rest of the match, which is very nice. We're going to take a whole overview here as the battle develops. If your boys are out in the open and your enemy is in the woods, they're going to win every time in the woods. Just because that's how it works. Get your boys into those woods as soon as you can. Make them fight it out in the woods.
Your men have been routed, sir.
Yeah, there it goes. That's okay. He's got his columns. Kind of moving up here. I think he gets as close as he can too. I only got little glimpses of everyone else's fight while you're playing, because the battles can be so intense. So here's who I'm going to be fighting up, and as you can tell, we both understand the importance of what's going on and how to get there. And my allies here, as you can see, I feel like if the Confederacy had just pushed up, they might have caught us unaware. Not being properly situated yet, but they would have had to come up to us right as we were coming out of the woods. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're like, all right, are they coming? Like, do we need to fight here? And then we decide to come down. So he brings his brigade up. Yeah. And he holds this position, which is real nice for me. Until my 11th Corps boys are coming up. They're trying to kind of fit through this gap. And I'm not sure I would have done that. I think I would have held somewhere, but this is, you know what I mean? So let's take a look at what everyone's going on. Now this is a fight. Playing on medium settings. If you're playing 1v1 or 2v2, you can do huge regimental sizes, which are their actual size, or close to it. You can see he's getting his boys right up close. Look at that. My goodness. He pulls his boys back after a little bit, and I replace them. You gotta be real careful about friendly fire. If your guys are in the front, they need to be not shooting. Otherwise, they'll just shoot your guys in the back. The AI doesn't know any better. You have to be hands off. You can't take a unit and select another unit because they'll bug out. So instead what happens is you have to set up your brigades or your regiments and just let them shoot it out. Which is pretty nice. It's a little bit more realistic that way, even if we didn't want it to be. But this is my best brigade. I put them on the left-hand side. I know this is going to be the hardest fight. And we have all these boys set up. So I get the rest of my troops moving in. We'll take a look. He's got his boys coming through the woods. Here we go. And he decided on the right flank, he let us know, he's like, you know, I'm just going to sit here. We're going to shoot it out. I'm going to let him come to me, and that's going to be it. Oh, wow, that was a direct hit. Oh, close. Oh, no oh, yeah, well, a couple casualties. So he pulls his boys up, and I'm like, I'm ready. Get your guys out of there. And the plan here is that we're seeing this. This is a weak spot right here. But I don't want to drive up and through because I don't want to get sandwiched on either side. This long line. But what I do want to do, or what we want to do, is drive a wedge. So I let them know, hey, my boys are coming up, so these guys don't flank you. And once he sets his troops up, that's when my 11th Corps boys start moving. which is pretty good. You can see the casualties here. Look at that. Already. This is a deadly battle. Absolutely brutal. Slow moving. It seems slow moving until you're in the middle of it, and then it seems like you'd never have enough time to fight it out. So, got quite large regiments down here, and I know that if they've got large regiments, then they're going to be a little bit worse than my smaller regiments. So I'm going to double up. I'm going to operate these brigades fighting together, and I'm going to let them go to town. There's a lot of enemy troops in here. But you know what? I'm going to get close. I'm not going to let you use the woods. I'm going to make you fight me at point blank range, and we're just going to shoot right into each other, and that'll be it. Takes a little moment. Yeah. He's got some boys coming in. Ooh. Ouch. Dove right through him. But this is my nut to crack. And I know it, and they know it. And we're deciding that we got to work on it real quick. So that's where my area of focus is. You start to see the rebel line finally starting to show up. And we know it's on. You can see these brigades moving up. One of the things that you need to pay attention to is, can your boys shoot? I'll point out something when it comes along. Well, actually, I think it was right here. The end of my line comes to this cliff. Not this cliff, but this hill. And the rebels position guys that they think are shooting at them, but they're not. Because they can't see them. They're like over here. And you got to be careful. You guys got to be able to see what they're shooting at. And that takes you getting down as low as you can and making sure that they're able to see. So we've got my general here. Taking some mini balls, but he gets moving in a little bit. You gotta... I kind of forget about him for a hot moment. I collapse this line. These rebels kind of accidentally got too far. And you gotta be careful. I know he can contract his line real quick. So I pull my boys back. And this is what you gotta be careful of. I don't know who else is in these woods. And then I see these guys coming. I'm like, alright, he might have another brigade coming up. I gotta be real careful, because I only got 2 brigades, and I got no reinforcements on this side. Yep. I mean, I would route 2 if I lost half my regiment. But I set these boys up. I just want them to shoot. I'm like, I don't care what you're doing. You're not there to hold the line. I kind of remember I have this regiment back here, and they're going to come up and hopefully fill that. At least that was my plan. But I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure. I notice, I'm like, alright, he's got, you know, a brigade here. I know he's got all of his brigades here. And I'm worried about this section. I don't want him to break through, but I gotta get through here. Over here on the left flank, he's pulling his boys up. He gets closer and closer and closer. Allowing him to shoot. Oh yeah, and then they just turn tail and run. He's got his reserve coming through. But look at that. He's gonna get outflanked. Trying to take this hill. Let's take a look. So here we go. I see this right here, and I'm like, all right, we're getting out of here. Because he can extend his line. I thought he was going to. I thought he would bring these up, extend his line all the way here, and seal it off. But he doesn't. Thank goodness. That was his initiative to take. I'm glad he didn't do it. So these boys are behind, probably taking friendly fire in the back. But they're doing their job. I want these guys shooting at them. Not them. Let them waste their ammo. Let them get tired. And work it out. Now our brigades are starting to come online and the battle becomes general. And this is the part where your micromanagement becomes very important. Rotating troops out. That's where these double lines are. They'll let them fight it out and then bring up the second line when they start to get tired. And let these guys rest in the back. I can't do that. I know he has guys in reserve, but I want as many guns shooting at once to try and break his line. Doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, though.
Moving out.
These boys here, real close to each other. Okay. Well, the left flank collapses. He gets to pull his troops up. He has to pull back, which now means these guys are exposed. Thank goodness. Just devastating.
Yes, sir. Your men have been routed, sir.
I send them in, though. I tell my boys, get in these woods. On this side, I want them to hold right here. And I initially pull back, or he pulls back all of his troops who were here supporting me, and I move to plug this in. I think I just extend this brigade, and it works just fine. Got my boys reforming. Some dude showing up. Now I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the sounds of the battlefield. This is what I'm talking about. Now I have my boys in dense formations rather than elongated ones like the rebels here. Don't want to get as many guns on target. I want to keep my boys together. I'm like, you're gonna have to, because for every 2 or 3 or 4, they're fighting all sorts of them. So they're only shooting at one regiment at a time. One of these they're targeting here, or he's targeting here, and they're all targeting at the same time. So that's what I want. One continuous line. The 14th Corps here starts moving their boys up. I see it a little too late, but I'm like, all right, let's do it. I pull all of my guys back initially,
Yes, sir.
but now we go in. It becomes time. I think he gets a little, tries to get his boys out, but he realizes it's a bad idea. And here's why.
Yes, sir.
The 11th Corps is great in hand-to-hand combat. Their individual stats are fantastic. You can see these guys are pretty tired. Those guys are fresh. All right, let's do it. He's bringing his boys over to deal with this. As you can see, the same tactic that I'm using against the Confederate partner with me is being done to him. He just has like five regiments fighting all of these. But I know he brings in the Wilder Brigade. And oh man. Or he doesn't. He brings some Wilders and they come over here and they just let loose, man. It's great.
Yes, sir.
So we're sitting here and then I'm like, all right, let's go.
Mark your target.
So I've got 33rd Massachusetts, my skirmishers. They're up here. I wanted to see what he was doing. I wanted to see what units were in front. They're kind of amongst all of these cav. You can see his brigades. He's got some reinforcements here, but it's in a circle. He's fighting like this. And if we can crack this nut, we can collapse the whole line, and that's what we start working towards. You can see over here, the Rebs are getting pushed back, and that's not good. Trying to set up more defensive lines, but the Union is just a relentless juggernaut. Keeps coming for them. When I see this open up, I'm like, all right, let's go. So we start bringing our boys in. And here, the whole battle. They've got their two-line engagement going on. And they just duke it out the whole match. I think this is the last fight that develops and stays going the longest is right here. This Confederate army, I think this is, I can't remember if this is Mississippi, just falls apart. He's got his artillery. A lot of his infantry rally. He rallies them off over here somewhere, and they start having like this kind of walking battle that they develop. Comes completely separate from the rest of the engagement, which I found really interesting. But here we go. We're coming in. I'm like, I'm gonna crack this nut. I'm gonna bring my general over. And the generals can do two things. They can rally troops, and they can inspire them. And I get him right behind both of these brigades. And I inspire, and then I just run them in. I'm like, let's do it, boys. So right here, they're going to trade volleys at first, because I'm waiting for this general to come in. Yeah, we're at 17th Indiana. If you're listening to this and you don't know I have a podcast, the podcast War of the Rebellion, Stories of the Civil War, we are covering the 72nd Indiana, which was part of Wilder's brigade, reading their regimental history, which is quite good. Just released episode 2, or episode 3. And the regiment is just formed and hasn't even left yet, so... All right, here we go. We're starting to crack this nut. We're bringing it in. I'll wait till my general gets here. Look at that. There's only 6 left. They've been duking it out. I'm very worried about a push here, but he develops his troops into 3 lines. At one point, I was very concerned about him shifting his troops and assaulting. I felt like I wouldn't be able to hold.
Your men have been routed, sir.
But when one of these boys moves, yeah, look at that. He's taking so many casualties. I just spread the next regiment over. And now they got to fight the same the same regiment they've been shooting at, but now it's just covering twice the ground. It's a really effective way to keep the enemy. Because look at that. They were targeting a 100-man regiment. But these boys are just opening up on them. Yeah, have at it, gents. This is not an advantageous position to take when we're up on this hill. I probably would have done the opposite and set up on the low ground and been like, let's duke it out. But I'd probably also get destroyed. Oh man. So he keeps moving. Keeps making new lines of defense, pulling back, making new lines of defense, pulling back. But every time you do that, and you're taking shots in the back, they're not shooting. Your enemy can get 2 or 3 volleys while you're retreating. And now this becomes a salient. And I send the boys in. Once one starts to break, start moving the rest in. And that's it. This whole salient collapses. He could tell. He knows what's about to happen. He starts moving his guys over, and they need to be in the woods. But he also needs to have his general over here. I don't know where he is right now. Let him run for it. This engagement, rebels know something's going on. He's getting pushed. Look at that, holding back 3 regiments. If they're not shooting, you're holding them back. That's a win for you. And so this battle goes on for a long time. See the Confederate line starts to break, and now we have this whole division essentially starting to wrap around him. And my boys crack right through the woods here. And the thing about it is, when you have a regiment that starts to run, it causes a chain rout. Got to be real careful. And I just send my boys right in. I want to chain route and clear this woods absolutely complete. The boys are still going at it. He brings in his 17th Indiana. That's it. I'm starting to see the reforming lines that are moving, right? We have one beat up rebel army that's making a run for it and trying to organize and regroup. And that's when we turn on them. Yes, sir. Becomes a joint, swing like a door. Essentially on a very large scale. Got my boys in, and we're going to clear the rest of these woods. I think you probably forgot to put that in. These guys are just running for the hills. Broke this whole brigade, and he's pulling back. He knows what's up. Let's take a look what's going on over here. This is a great example of being able to use your troops. He has these guys on standby in the back, but they're not shooting. And they might take occasional casualties from rounds flying by, but he can trade them out. Over here, though, it's brutal. Fighting in an orchard. Here's the thing, if you think you're winning, even in a situation like this, it can turn around really quickly. You gotta be very careful. So, I get the 11th Corps on the move. I want to chase these boys as far as I can. We need to get them organized and ready. Make sure they're not tired. But when enemies are running, they're sprinting. And in this mod, if you sprint, you'll get tired and your guys will break. So you never run them. But if you chase after them, guys, units that come back, even if they've been running, they'll be exhausted. And you can break them again. You can hit them and hit them and hit them and keep chasing them back. The only thing you have to be careful is not running too fast, too far, trying to get ahead too quickly. Alright, we've got this Confederate brigade here is reforming. They're trying to flank them here. Start bringing in my 11th Corps. Troops, I know exactly what I need to do. And we both decide we're gonna push down the line and see if we can force them out. Let's take a look at what's going on this side. As you can see, the battle is in full swing. I was very worried about this when I saw it happening. I thought, oh, maybe they're trying to get these guys around. They'll come through here. But I stabilized my line. Over here in the battle, still going. Everyone's taking significant casualties. Except for these guys. Look at that. Whew. And this, I get my boys online, and we start moving out. I want to use this cover to advance both of my brigades. This is perfect cover. There's no reason to jump out in front yet, to fight it out. But look at this. I'm not going to have great accuracy at this range and shoot into the side of a hill. So, but it's hard. He's getting flanked and he's got to reform his line all the way over.
Gone. A whole unit is lost.
Let's see, who was it? Oh yeah, they ran. Here we go. Oftentimes in these battles, you can get so wrapped up in maybe chasing after the enemy. You got to remember, excuse me, stick with the rest of the army. Oh, here's a great line change out. These guys will go to the rear. New line moves up. These guys are eager and fresh. These guys are winded and concerned about casualties. Oof, that was brutal. The artillery is very brutal, very spot on. The Union has the advantage in rifled artillery. The Confederates have the advantage in howitzers. Napoleons are great for canister, a couple of other things. I only brought rifled artillery. I really wanted to just knock out guns. Of course, the cavalry changed that part. Alright, here we go. Let's see. got this, you know, 2 brigades, looks like, holding this section. You know, why not? Send the other ones. He's got all of his artillery up on this hill. Just pounding them. And he knows it, right? This is... Once again, he's on the bottom of the hill. Get your boys up there. Get them up here. So they're shooting across. That's the one thing I'm always looking at. Can my boys hit you? Oof. Oh, brutal volley. You can see there's gap right here. Start to move some boys in. Yeah. Look at that. What is that? 4 chevrons. Doing some work. Over here, the charge, the entire brigade goes in, and look at that, breaks them. They're running. Here's his general, Grant, overseeing the attack, and it's working. Probably hit Inspire, let his boys give him the business. Union line being changed out again. And this is one of our last nuts we're worried about. All right, this is good. Loving this work. Huzzah. Good brigade. This brings in reinforcements to force him out. And that could be very deadly to have a counterattack come through, but he sets up his reserves and brings them in to fight it out. It's fire and maneuver. And that's it. Once these guys start coming up here, he realizes it's not going to be good for him. So this is a great shield. Hey, you can come fight me if you want, but I'm leaving. There's a real battle to get to. These guys are going to be tired and shaken, and he's got 2 brigades left. With a couple of others that maybe are... No, I think that's it. Yeah. Keep pulling back. You gotta get smaller and smaller. There's gonna be more and more troops coming in on you. Over here? Yeah. Look at that. That's it. Careful though. Oof. You can see it's a very delicate balance when you're playing this mod. You guys are going to be fighting for a long time. You need to think and deliberate. He's got his boys here, and I'm kind of looking. I'm like, all right, let's see. Let's join up. My general here is just keeping them alive, but man, when I see this, I'm like, all right, that's what I'm talking about. He knows his whole line's got to pull back if his guys are about to break. So that's exactly what he starts to do. But it's not enough. Too little, too late to try and stop what's coming. Still acting as a shield. Look at this. He's got this whole brigade coming in to swing around, but you know what? Enflating fire from all these artillery pieces. Their chevrons didn't kill a lot of guys. We'll take a look at the casualty count afterwards, at the end of the battle, so you guys can see how deadly this game is. This mod can be. This is only on medium settings, so you can play with even larger armies if your computer can handle it. Rebel line starting to snake, right? Whoa. There's some artillery pieces coming in. Oh yeah, it happens to the best of us. We're still barely winning though, right? The game is telling us that we're winning by a little bit, but we can tell we've got the upper hand. We just need to press. And so that's exactly what I start doing. I'm sending the 11th Corps in with my general. It's kind of a mistake, but I knew I had to get it done. It becomes a general assault. Gets a little messy. Oh well. Got Wilder's boys here. They can shoot so quickly. And that's it. Take a look. Trying to suck them in. When the enemy does this, they form a circle around you, just keep your boys straight. Or concave in return. Because what he wants is he wants his troops to come forward and he can shoot at them. But when you're fighting, all you got to do is break one of the flanks on this and it's all gone. And that's what starts to happen. Right? You form like this. He's got 3 or 4, 2 brigades here. It's going to come crashing through. The entire 11th Corps. I'm just sending them in. I'm like, let's end this. Enemy finally decides to commit. Oh! Oh my goodness. Taking artillery like nobody's business.
Your men have been routed, sir.
Might become something else. As you can see, I have lost. I started with 5 brigades. I've only got 10 regiments left, I think. Yeah. I think my general is killed, and he runs at this point. And I'm like, all right, we're close to it. Happens around here. But you know what? We've got him on the run, and let's get him out of here. That's it. Woo! Sends in his, but that's it. That becomes game. Again. Take a look at this. There's no targets here for them to shoot at. In response, when you're up here, you can see them. You gotta be looking. much, everybody. Oh, this is glorious. Oh no. His guns. His guns are wrong, that's for sure. And with that, we just start moving. We just got to clean up a few of the remaining enemy brigades that are still standing. We're trying to, I don't know, hold us back so the rest of the army can get away. And we can pretty much speed up the rest of this. Look at this. Even with the 72nd Indiana, hey boys, having to run for it. And they attacked the artillery in the rear. Can really do damage. So we're going to speed this up towards the end, since the battle is over, more or less. And it was a great time. So if this looks interesting to you, if you would like to play, come join us. I have the mod and the Discord down below in the description. You can come play with us. I have a couple of other battles I'm going to be releasing as well. Some one-on-ones that I've done that were a lot of fun, actually. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Poor Red. Gone. Alrighty, let's take a look at our statistics here. It's pretty nuts. So you can see how many troops everyone was deploying. It's got 5,000. Man. It took 16, almost 1,700 casualties. Did 2,400. Deployed 37. Man, look at this. Got some big armies here. So you can tell there's a lot of troops on the field. Pretty much equal to one corps each. One small corps, I should say. But if you do 2v2, it can be about the same size, maybe a little bit larger when you're on huge size. Take a look. We'll see how some of these guys have done. This skirmish company lost 9 troops, killed 60. Yeah, that's going to give them. They've only got 20. Right? They killed 3 times their number. That's why I always take skirmishers. Even just a little bit helps, and they're only a couple bucks. Really is how it comes down to. So, excellent. The one 4-gun 3-inch battery I had did solid work, which was real nice. Take a look at some of our boys here. Wow. Yeah, look at the 157. 184 kills. Just fantastic. Oh my goodness. 45th New York, 426 kills. Yeah, look at that. Getting them up there. So get your boys in the right spot and they'll do good work for you. Well, with that, Mush Eaters, I hope you enjoyed Well, Mush Eaters, I hope you have enjoyed this gameplay. If you would like to join us, the mod for Napoleon Total War and the Discord community is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.